All right, everyone, you know what time it is. It is Friday, and we are here with Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I am one of your co-hosts, David Pistolka, and that pretty gentleman right over there is Kurt Anderson. Today, we're going to be talking about the Industrial Marketing Summit. We're going to be talking with Eric Seiberling again, or not again, but we're talking about his awesome presentation about the Industrial Marketing Summit, and wow, am I excited.
Well, Damon, thank you. What a great introduction, man. Happy Friday. Are you ready for a little football this weekend?
That's probably why I'm so excited. Part of the reason why I'm excited today. Eric, I'm excited to talk to you today too, but we don't make it to the playoffs that often.
Yeah. So Damon's out in Seattle. So, hey, we've got, so Eric, happy Friday, dude. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm doing great. And thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. I've watched some of your shows and they're always entertaining and usually informative.
Yeah, very well. You might have caught one or two.
If they were the ones that were the usually informative, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the guests are very informative. So, yeah, hey, in all seriousness, welcome to the show, everybody. We kicking off the new year, and we are just honored. What a privilege to have Eric with us today. Eric, you are doing amazing work at MXD Process, and you are a speaker at the Industrial Marketing Summit. But before we go there, I have a question for you, my friend. Are you sitting down? Are you ready for this?
Well, I'm standing up at my desk, but I'm still.
Oh, he's standing up, Damon. I love it, man. We don't get many people standing, so he's standing up. Eric, when you were a little guy growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in rural central Pennsylvania, so about 50 miles from Harrisburg.
So where at? Near Harrisburg?
Sunbury, Pennsylvania, where the two branches, the Susquehanna River, come together and where all the rail and coal come from. So yeah, I'm from true Appalachia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a beautiful part of the state. You're are you a Penn State guy? Or you're near State College, aren't you?
Yeah, about an hour and a half from State College. Penn State was my backup school. And so yeah, I'm still a big Penn State fan and a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I'm just sad this whole postseason, whether it's college or pro.
Okay, so we won't. Hey, you know what? They canceled off football this weekend, Eric. So there is no football. So you've got nothing. You're not missing a thing. Nothing to worry about. So now, my understanding. All right. So you know what? Before we dive into your background, so when you're a little guy growing up in Pennsylvania, being a big Penn State and a big Pittsburgh Steeler fan, when you're a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who just showered you with unconditional love? Who was your hero when you were growing up?
Well, I think my hero is different from the person who showered with the unconditional love, but so I'll say that. my hero, when I was 4 years old, I watched Han Solo on Star Wars.
Boom.
And you know what? And I'm just going to say this. I mean, that meant so much to me of growing up in rural Pennsylvania. It's like from that moment, I wanted to fly. And so that's why, like 7th grade, I'm going to the Air Force Academy and, work like mad and got there. And then unfortunately I had some problems with my ears and it's like, okay, no worries. But, I would say it's like, fictional character is your hero. But Han Solo, like to me, was like the epitome of what all that was awesome. Yeah. I think probably more like when I was in high school, there was the Bowers family. So Ann Bowers was I was a friend of their sons. And they really adopted me as kind of an adopted son. And so it was a safe and nurturing place for me to go. I ate dinner most of the time at her house, and I just owe her a lot.
That is okay. Nice. Two great answers. So our dear friend Harrison Ford, aka Han Solo, what a wonderful for any of our Star Wars fans out there. Great answer, and a big shout out, lots of love to Ann Bowers, man, in middle central Pennsylvania. So two great heroes that raised this incredible young man. Now, big shout out, kudos to you for serving our country proudly in the Air Force. Thank you for your service, my friend. So Han Solo inspired you to go into the service. Tell us a little about what you did in the Air Force.
Well, yeah, I was an intelligence officer, so graduated and I did 5 years. I was in Hawaii, and then also I was at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. I also did a little bit of time at the Pentagon. So I tell people, and this is the career, and I can't talk much more beyond that, as I was an arms dealer, a spy, and a computer geek. I got out and went to work in marketing. So
very cool.
He'd tell us, but he'd have to take us out, Damon.
Yeah, I don't need to know.
So yeah, I can't talk about anything I did for 72 years after the day I got out.
That's so. Hey,
come see me, I'll tell you all about it.
So what year is it? What year can we talk?
Let me see. I'll be 72. You're asking me to do higher math? What's the deal?
So hey, we'll circle back to you. We'll figure out
Yeah.
the math after the show, but we'll circle back.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
That's awesome.
We'll get you back on the show.
Yeah.
Damon and I will be in the nursing home, but we'll have you on the show
Yeah.
so we can talk freely. How's
All
that?
right, it's a date for November 2044.
2044. It's a date, man. Damon, mark that on your calendar, dude.
2044. So we got 18 years.
No excuses, right? I don't want to hear like you're playing, bingo or
No.
something at the nursing home. Like we need to talk to Eric, right?
No, we'll be ready.
So, okay, awesome. Eric, thank you for sharing that story. So you go into the U.S. Air Force Academy. And so when you come out, talk a little bit. So you said, what'd you say? You had a little ear issue? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so my ears won't clear. So I ended up discovering that. It was never medically brought up, but I'm just like, it probably wouldn't work well in pilot training. So
yeah.
Right. So, all right. So what tugged your heart, your passion, your experience into marketing? Let's take us there.
So, I mean, it was, as an intelligence officer, the whole goal of life is to figure out why people do what they do, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to anticipate what happens. So, if you talk about my background was in Islamic radicalism of all things.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And in 1994. And so it is understanding why people are willing to blow themselves up for a cause. Let me just tell you something. It is much easier to get them to buy laundry detergent. So and motivating someone to buy laundry detergent is a lot easier than doing something violent. And so it's the same. But the interesting thing for me was I had half of an MBA done through the University of Colorado. I did it online. It was like one of the first AACSB accredited programs in 1998.
That's cutting edge.
Wow.
And I loved marketing. And it was just like one of those things. And so here, just to tell the story, I was working with a corporate recruiter named Cameron Brooks. They do junior military officer recruiting.
Yep.
And so Roger Cameron goes to me. I said, who should I do my marketing project on to help me prep? He goes, do it on Procter & Gamble. He goes, you'll learn a lot. I'm like, okay. So I did it, all those things. I go to the career conference. Procter & Gamble was there. And so I end up interviewing specifically for fabric and home care, which is what my project focused on. And it was a total, in my belief, and just out of my beliefs, it was a total God thing. And so 1999, during the whole dot-com boom, brand managers were leaving left and right. And so it opened up a window that I had only half of an MBA done, and I got a top tier MBA job coming right out of the service. And so I was just insanely blessed and very lucky.
What a great story. So, so all right. So first off, guys, connect with Eric on LinkedIn, and when you connect with him, you're going to see on his experience, you're going to see Procter & Gamble.
Yeah, Procter & Gamble.
As you're telling the story, I'm like, oh my gosh, it led right to a job at Procter & Gamble. One of the, like that is the gold standard of brand, right? Of branding.
And it was an amazing place to learn how to be a marketer.
Oh my gosh.
And I very much value my time. I mean, it literally was, it was 5 years of really learning the best around how to be, how to build compelling marketing and really how to run a business. And so I very much value that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super
Okay.
Cool.
Man, what a great Cameron Brooks. Yeah. That is awesome. What a great story. Now, I don't know if we want to jump ahead or if you want to just share a little bit of your journey following Procter & Gamble. And it looks like you have Amazon in your background as well.
Yeah. So I'll give you the very, very quick story and run the podcast, which is left P&G. I did consulting for global CIOs and chief strategy officers for 5 years for CPG and retail companies. So PepsiCo, Procter & Gamble, Whirlpool, all those folks. From there, the financial crisis hit. And so I was looking for a job, and Dassault Systems, which is the kind of the premier engineering software company. I did work for Procter & Gamble and did work around product lifecycle management and CAD and all those things. And so I got recruited by Dassault Systems, and I worked there for 12 years and went all the way up to be the head of North America marketing. And really it was an amazing time, and I love the company. Amazon came to me because they needed a head of CPG and retail industry marketing. And so I always Amazon was like one of the 5 companies I always said I'd interview with. And it was just a great opportunity. So I decided to go there. And so, again, learned a ton, had a ball, did all sorts of interesting things with AWS and just walked out and Amazon won. And then my wife offered her dream job in Louisville. And so it was just really good time. She's the director of new church development for all of the state of Kentucky for the Methodist Church. And so she's planning 14 churches across the state, and it's what she felt called to do. And so it was just a really great time for me. And then that's how I ended up at MXD Process. And so small company, very different from all the large companies that I was at. And it's been, I will say this, it's been a ball. And the reason I say that is if you look at my resume, it's always been big companies.
Yeah.
And so here I'm in charge of all the commercial functions. So I control sales, I control marketing, I have support, I do our new product development. And so basically in that chief commercial officer, chief revenue officer role. And I've just really, really enjoyed it. And also been given the groundwork to really experiment, which includes AI. And so that's part of what my talk at IMS is going to be about.
Yeah. Gosh, what
Very
a
cool.
fascinating story, man. God bless you and congratulations to your wife. And I don't say sacrifice, but man, lots of admiration to you to, really embrace your wife's dream and let her, was that an easy pill to swallow? Like, hey, I'm leaving Amazon. I don't know.
I would just say, I think at that point I was ready for something a little different.
You're ready for change? Yeah.
I wanted to go to a small company because I really wanted to be, where can I have? It's kind of like the flexibility and the agility to be able to move very quickly, to be able to experiment and try things.
Yeah.
And Mark Franco, who's our owner here, he's very forward thinking. And so we are running MXD Processes commercial functions the same way you would run a tech firm's go-to-market motions. And that is, we've talked to HubSpot, we've talked to some other folks, and they're just like, we don't, it's like, how did you decide to do it this way? And we're like, I don't know any different. I came from the tech world. Yeah. So it's been, I came from CPG and B2C and learned the best about branding and equity and messaging and just good commercial functions. And then I went to the tech world and really learned B2B, I think, in a great way, buyer's journeys, and just how do you really understand those complex, big sales, right? And then now I have the opportunity to come here and I get to put it all in practice. And I basically have what I'll call an innovation incubator for how do you go to market commercially in an industry that is relatively, some are really old school in their thinking.
Yep.
And so to me, it's like, this is the perfect opportunity to be able to think differently, to do differently, and get results very quickly.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. And Eric, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up your website. Before I do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our friend Wes Temple. So Damon, you and I had Wes on the show. Yeah. He's going to be speaking at the Industrial Marketing Summit. And I asked him the question that we ask every guest: who was your hero when you were a little guy growing up? And he says, Eric. That was the first time we've ever had somebody on the show announce somebody who was coming on the show. So Eric, kudos to you. And man, I just tell you, that warmed my heart. And like, that must have gave you just a wonderful little kick in your step to hear that from about Wes. I'm going to pull up your website. I want to take us off track. I am a little bit. I want to get back to MXD, but just share a little bit about this Wes Temple guy. Why would he declare you a hero?
Well, he shouldn't, but now I knew Wes when he was in high school. And so my wife was his pastor in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And so my wife was appointed there and I helped do stuff with the youth. And so Wes and I met each other there and we stayed in contact throughout his entire, we moved away probably right before he graduated. And then I mentored him through college and various jobs, and we still meet monthly where we just talk about what's going on in the job and those things. And it's been interesting because now he's teaching me things as well, which is just really heartening of back and forth. So it's just been a relationship we've had for years, and it's been a joy to work with him.
Well, leaders create leaders, my friend. So that was absolutely awesome. So, all right, let's get on track here. Let's go to, I'm going to pull up your website. So for folks out there that are MXD is new, please share, how do you and your team make the world a better place? What's going on here at MXD?
Yeah, so our whole goal is to help a lot of industrial chemical companies, food and beverage companies, basically anything with liquid production, liquid processing, to make their processes better. So it really is, first we start by understanding your process. What are you trying to make? And it's the first question I teach all my sales folks, and how much. And then what is the big production or manufacturing challenge that you're facing? And then our whole goal isn't to sell equipment. Our whole goal is to really understand the process and say, how do we make it better? So we are, we do a little bit of the, engineering consulting kind of piece, but not like a full engineering service firm, but, engineering piece. We end up really being able to optimize, your mixing process, your production line, or ultimately even a full plant in order so you can get the value that you need. So, how does it make life a better place? I'm going to be honest. What it ends up doing is where a company can produce things cheaper, they can offer better prices to their customer. When they can make new products that really are impactful in people's lives. And just at the end of the day, it helps people, our whole view is that the best way to serve humanity is by helping people do their job. And that's the relationship. We believe in partnerships, not transactions.
Very good.
Absolutely love it. So just share a little bit, like, since you've gotten there, and again, like you've worked for who's who, Amazon, Procter and Gamble, you're sharing, what a delight it's been, and it's just so inspiring to hear working at a smaller company. Just share like some of the client projects or some of the exciting success stories that you've encountered since you've gotten there.
I mean, I think since I've gotten here, we've gone up the value chain. And so we, here a lot of times it was, okay, I'm selling a stainless steel tank, or I'm selling a mixer, or maybe control. We have more and more, we've landed more clients around full production lines, and we've actually are building production plants now, whether it's in partnership with some other vendors or we're leading it. And so one example is we're actually in the process of building a new potato chip company in Maine. And so we worked with an engineering consultant that was there. And so we're providing all the stainless steel tanks for the oil management system and all the mixing and all the valves. And so, that's one example. We're doing, it's just, there's probably 4 or 5 plant builds that we have in our pipeline, and about 3 or 4 plant builds that are closed, whether they're smaller lines or plants. And so that's been the exciting part is with us, this messaging was what I changed the equity and I changed the messaging when we got here. And because of that, it allows people to really understand that our whole goal is to help literally from beginning to end to improve your process. And so we are much more consultative selling than transactional selling that may have occurred in the past.
Well, I absolutely love this. And so, Eric, the name of the show is Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. And it sounds like you came in, sleeves rolled up, and just they really embraced you. Share a little bit for our manufacturing friend out there who maybe they feel like they're the best kept secret, and they're where maybe MXD was previously, or they're like, geez, we're just starting our marketing journey. What some piece of advice that you would share for that manufacturer out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple different things, and it's always start with first. And I think you asked the question, how do you make life a better place, right? It's find your why, right? So get really clear on your why and why does it matter what you do. That works for both your employees. It also works for your customers. From there, it's getting, I think, a couple different things. I think number one, who do you want to serve? And really get clear on you. I mean, and this is Procter and Gamble Marketing 101.
Yep.
It's like, who do you want to serve? Like, and then what do you offer that's unique and different, right? And so what is your points of differentiation relative to competition? Versus where are your points of parity? What are the entry points you have to meet? And then even understanding, and this, it requires humility. What's your point of weaknesses? And so by understanding those things, then you can end up getting to say, what's our equity, right? What is our positioning? What is our messaging? And to really get brutally clear on that. And then you can get to the how. And the how really being, what products do I offer? What does what channels do I go through? For example, what does my website look like? And getting to all the tactical things as well as your demand generation techniques and all of that. And so those are kind of the 3 things. And then the last step is the most important that most people don't do, which is, let me map my business processes and let me find every single torch point. And then from there, how do I attack them aggressively in order to be able to kind of like, salespeople are having a problem generating terms, right? That it's always this one-off thing. How do you think about that systemically in order to be able to solve it? And so we used AI, and we hired and also we pull credit reports via Credit Safe, and we now can create terms in 10 minutes. And so it's each of those, every torch point you find, you say, okay, what is the savagely practical way in order to solve it? And then just try it. And if it works, keep doing it. And if it doesn't, iterate. So, I mean, that kind of talks about our whole AI process as well.
Man, okay. Dude, we're getting like we're getting a Procter and Gamble masterclass right now. Like I'm writing furiously. Yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So I'm going to come back to this. So when you got to Procter and Gamble, share that experience. Was it like mind blowing? Was it like, okay, well, I kind of went through this with the military with intelligence and my master's degree in Colorado, or were you just constantly mind blown at Procter and Gamble? What was that experience like?
I mean, I think one of the things, and this not only goes for P&G, it goes for everywhere you go, is you have to come in with a piece of humility.
Yeah.
And this I have sound because I've worked across industries, I've worked across, companies, is that you first have to come and you have to say, what can I learn here? And be really open to that regardless. Yeah. It was interesting at Procter and Gamble because, I did the MBA and I did the military, and corporate is different, of course. But the other part that was interesting for them is I had to learn the traditional CPG world, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I was hired to launch one of their first internal .coms.
Oh, were you really?
Oh yeah, I worked a joint venture with Whirlpool on a new appliance that it wasn't going to be large enough in order to get distribution. So this was in the heyday of the whole .com boom. So it was 1999. I had to build a website that could do e-commerce. I had to do CRM. With ATG way back when. I had to stand up a fulfillment house, stand up a call center, and I had to figure out how do I ship 2 bottles of liquid to someone's home when P&G was used to shipping full truckloads.
Yeah.
Walmart. And so there was this thing of learning, here's what's here, but then I also had to say, how can I get this done in a company that does things in method A, but won't work for what I'm trying to achieve? And so it was a wild time, but I learned so much and really grateful for that opportunity that I had.
I can believe it. That'd be crazy trying to make build that radical of a business model in another huge business model that does exactly like you said. We're used to shipping truckload to our big customers. And now you're going, well, with this business, we're going to have thousands of little customers. Yep. That alone is a huge thing. But then, like you said, the logistical challenges of I'm going to, pick and ship maybe hundreds of orders a day that are in a box rather than somebody running, pallet trucks.
Yeah. And the thing I'll end up saying is there were lots of people involved and that was one piece of that. But leading that initiative, I think, taught me a lot about, okay, let's focus on what really matters, right? And let's get to the core of what we're trying to achieve and then working backwards from that. It's really easy to get lost in all the details. And I think whether you're in a big company or a small company, you really always have to say, how do I take a step back and let me get to what is the core of what I'm trying to do? And then try to simplify the equation as much as possible. And then focus on that. And then you're like, okay, I'm 80 for 20. And this is the whole thing. This is something I've said my entire career. Perfect is the enemy of great. Okay? Because you will try to do that last 20%. You will kill yourself trying to do that last 20. If you get 80%, then I say, go do the next big problem to take it to 80%. And if you do that enough places, now you get to the point of okay, great. Now let me map out my business process. Here's the torch point. Let me go. It's basically like doing bug fixing for businesses, right?
Yeah.
And that is the way that, for whatever reason, that's the way I've been lucky enough to go through my entire career. And it's been wild.
And it's funny when you do that, though, when you go get that 80% solution, how some of the problems you had before that, you didn't even realize would drop away. Mm-hmm. So it's really good not to try to get the 100% solution to take care of everything. You just took care of the main things because you would have wasted time on those other things, rather you're moving ahead to the next thing that you need to.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge I think for people, whether it's early career or even late career, is majoring in minor things, right? And, and so
Yeah.
it is, and it's hard though because those minor things can feel so huge,
Yeah.
right? Or your CEO is really, this really irks him or her or anything else, and it's, you just have to take a step back and say, okay, what's the real impact, and say relative to these other choices that I have. And so, like, I drive people nuts. I've got a whiteboard that's right over here, and they will see these to-do lists that are like, there's 50 things on there, and it's just like, and then I'm like, A, B, C.
Yeah.
And it's like, I pick 3 A priorities, and that's what I will spend 90% of my time on, and I will drive it to ground very quickly.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, that's good enough. And next thing. And so it's me just kind of, always constantly prioritizing and raising it up and saying, all right, how do we get this done? How do we get major movement in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, some people are like, Eric, you're exhausting to work with. But that's more just like, okay, because I will sit on my whiteboard, just as an example, and I'll say, all right, what's the problem we're talking about today? And we have an hour scheduled, and I will whiteboard, and we will have basically the solution sketched out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to meet together in a week, and we're going to try to do as much as this as we can. And it just, now you've got to pick and choose, and you can't exhaust your employees.
Yeah.
You have to be metered in that. But literally, I never take the, it's too hard, or wow, that's really complicated. No, simplify the equation. Let's attack it. And so I think it's, Ken Blanchard many years ago said, zap the gaps, right? And that is like some of the best advice you have is like, understand what it's at, understand what the big goal is, and then just go after the biggest things that you can make very quick progress on.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Eric, dude, so we have, so on our show, I don't know if we have these things called drop the mic moments. And then when it goes to the next level, we call them moments of silence. So we're just going to take a moment of silence right now. This was just like a pure, unapologetic, like masterclass right here, Damon. Like we got military, Procter and Gamble, Amazon, like 20 years of like corporate warrior ninja, like all in one little boost, man. Oh my God. All right. I'm going to stop. Quick recap, like know your who, your unique differentiator, your points of weakness, then dive into the how. And then just relentlessly, ruthlessly figure out your priorities and just like attack them with just a vengeance. Did I summarize that?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. We got some comments here. We got John Graham just dropped this in.
John could stop by.
Yeah, John. Thanks for being here today. He said, honestly, a whiteboard is still better than any CAD system for working through real world problems. That is 100%, because if you sit there and you try to draw it out on CAD, you just wasted the time drawing it out. Not necessarily wasted, but you just spent the time drawing it out on CAD, when if you can handle it between a few people on a whiteboard, it can be done in the same time.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then Karina said, such a valuable session. Thanks, Karina, for stopping by today. Aisha says thanks, and she also said good insights before that. So thanks, everyone, for those comments.
Yeah, thanks. Keep them coming, John, Karina, Aisha. Thank you, guys. Everybody out there that hasn't commented, happy Friday. Welcome to the show. I know we're at top of the hour. We're with our dear friend Eric. Eric is a speaker at the Industrial Marketing Summit. Damon, I think that's coming up like March 3rd through March 5th. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. In Austin, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And Damon, now if anybody signs up, we have a little coupon code for them, don't we?
Yes, sir, we do. Just type in B2B tail and you will get a little discount.
That's right. So, I mean, like now, Eric, every person, like all the cool kids are going to be in Austin. Are they not, for March 3rd through March 5th?
Oh, I think if you're not there, you got to turn in your cool kid card.
You got to turn. All right. So we're going to dive into your session. We're going to pull up the Industrial Marketing Summit. Before I go there, Damon, you got something?
Well, I really want to say too, yes, it's great to be there in person, but I think they also have a virtual option too, if you can't make it there and it's
Well,
not as good.
not
You
the,
won't get the food. You won't get Austin,
yeah,
Texas, but you can get the information at least and see the speakers, because the speakers like Eric. I mean, we're you just got a taste of what they're going to be talking about. The speakers are phenomenal.
I got 3 letters for you, Damon. BBQ, man. BBQ. You got to go to Austin, Texas for the BBQ, right? So that's all right. Eric, is there anything else as far as MXD that and I just can't express, before we go to the Industrial Marketing Summit, when you came on board, like what was happening at the company where they're like, hey, we need a guy. We don't know who it is. Like, how did this magic happen of Eric falling out of the sky into MXD?
I mean, they were looking for a sales manager for a while. They were looking for someone to run the commercial functions. And it's, they wanted to get ready to get poised to grow. And then they also, we're in the process of acquiring one company. And since I've been here, they've acquired a second. And we're going through a series of acquisitions. So they wanted somebody who could handle the chaos of an acquisition, if you've ever done those before, as well as how do we go from what I would say, okay, we're doing inbound marketing, I've got the contact and it's just I just follow up and I sell transactionally, and how do we change the game? And so that's what I was offered to do. So when I first got there, they had 6,000 unrouted leads. Because they didn't have someone in the sales role. Yes, you're allowed to look that way. That was my thought too. It took 7.8 days until the first contact, which is, in the B2B space, that's death. It took, and our conversion rate was 17.4%. Like, okay, from a quote to a sale. And you're like, how do we do things differently? And how do we? So that was part of what I've been really working with the team. It's not an Eric thing. It's a whole team thing. We've all worked together in order to be able to take this crawl, walk, run approach to really transform how we go to market.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Hey, we got a great question from John here.
Yeah, John, I'll put it up here. John, he said, I want to ask Eric on the show how moving to each company impacted him and how he handled the culture shock with each transition. That's a big one.
Awesome question. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Yeah,
John, that is a fabulous question. And I think, going from Procter & Gamble to a small consulting company, it's just, okay, I'm used to having all these people around. And now it's like I built a strategy transformation practice literally on my own. And then to go from there to a French company, right? It's I think there's a great book out there that I love. It's called The First 90 Days.
Yeah.
And it has been a godsend in my career because it always is, you take the 30 days just to listen. Yeah. And then you start to come up with ideas and you shop them around, and then, okay, let's deliver quick. So that's just from a standpoint. But I think the most important, I've got to say this, the most important thing if you're looking to change companies is really understand yourself and what cultures do you thrive in, and interview the companies and everybody you talk to that reflects the culture that you want to have. You can't change whether it's a Procter & Gamble or the culture of MXD process. It's very hard to change the culture overnight, and so, or the underlying processes. And so, a lot of times when we're interviewing or if we need a job, we're like, oh my God, I need a job. Fit is so important. And so make sure that it's consistent with your values and your beliefs and your working styles before you go there. But then the other part is understand, do the first 90 days, but you're going to hit the wall. We used to call it Amazon. We called it the wall. Mm-hmm. At the 4 to 6 month point, you're going to hit the wall, both in work and like, oh my God, why did I come here? Mm-hmm. And so therapy helps. Let's be honest, therapy helps. But also it's just realize that's going to come, and that it's how do you build relationships with people? How do you get connected to the overall mission of the company? And that will sustain you to get you through that hump and to be able to move forward and be successful wherever you go.
How was the culture for you at Amazon?
So, I mean, Amazon's got the most, I've worked a lot of people with wicked smart folk, right?
Yeah.
Amazon, and AWS, it's just got some great people in there, and they're all experienced. And so, the most important thing there is understanding, just being humble and saying, I've got a lot to learn, a lot of folks. And it was just really exciting. And I think it's a great company to work. I also say it's a hard company to work at. They demand a lot. And so you have to know that going in, to do that. and to be successful.
And I think what you said about knowing yourself is so important, because a lot of people, like you said, I want a different job. And they'll look at a company and they might look at the name, right? Because you could look at Amazon, you could look at Procter and Gamble, it doesn't matter. And you go, wow, that name could be Caterpillar, doesn't matter. And if you don't understand the culture and where you really thrive, the name could draw you in, and in 6 months, like you said, you're just miserable.
Yeah. And know thyself is a very important aspect.
Yeah.
Wow.
So cool.
Okay. Gosh, Eric. Okay. I know like we're coming into time here. So Eric, we're at the, our dear friend Eric is, hey, look at that handsome devil right there. Damon, we know this guy. So, hey, great session here. Steel and strategy using AI to drive full funnel growth in industrial sales. And you just mentioned the crawl, walk, run. I say that right? Crawl, walk, run, and that's going to be incorporated in your session. Eric, please give everybody a little sneak peek of why they absolutely cannot miss your session in Austin. Give us a little sneak preview.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been my discovery. And remember, I came from Amazon and then came here, right? And so everybody and their brothers trying to sell you these AI tools. Hey, your life will just be perfect if you use fill in the blank, right? And we all see that. And you know, one of the first things I discovered here was very simple. All the tools suck.
Oh.
And here's why. And here's why. It's not that the tools are naturally bad. It's the fact that they do not understand the context of deeply technical industrial equipment and industrial marketing. And so like when we first started with ChatGPT 3 and started doing, I'm asking a 7th grader for answers about chemical engineering. It just doesn't work, right? And so there's this whole process you need to, so first of all, you know, it's like I went to AI4 last year. I spoke at AI4, and which is in Las Vegas. It's the biggest AI conference in North America. And I'm speaking there this year too.
Yeah.
Yep. And, you know, the biggest thing is I sat in all these sessions. I'm like, this is great for big companies that have huge IT staffs, but what about us? Right?
Yeah.
And so what's the process you need to use in order to be able to like savagely, pragmatically use AI to solve your business problems and get real results? And so that's what I'm going to talk about in my session.
Nice.
And now I told you earlier, we had 6,000 leads that we didn't go through, you know, that were left unfiltered, all these different kinds of things. And so let me give you kind of what the results were on the other end, which was we pushed from lead to sale conversion up 10 points, 10%. We increased deal sizes 20%. And then we also had faster response times that we got our lead response from 7 days down to under 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the real one. The lead conversion, when I talk about lead to sale, you know, we're at 17.4. We went to 27.5%.
Oh, God.
And it's climbing still.
Yeah.
But it was taking this, you know, what are the gaps? What are the problems? How do I end up hacking it and doing it in a way that can provide really good context for our industry? And so I'll finish with this. AI is the smartest, dumbest intern you ever had. Okay. Fundamentally, it is really smart, but it's really stupid. And what it lacks is context. And so you are the context engine for AI. And that's why AI will never replace a human being, because both the context of the situation and your judgment is where now SMEs, subject matter experts, whether they're a marketer or a salesperson, not developers, are going to drive the most value out of AI. And so it's never, and this is the whole thing, it's never the technology. It's always the knowledge and the expertise, which makes it valuable. And so that's why you ought to attend my session, because I'm going to show you how we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something we see every day working with B2B companies, is that those subject matter experts, they have so much locked in their brain that if you can release that and educate your end customers with that, it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah. And it's just, and it's this trial and error. So there's this consideration. If you think you can one shot AI development for chemical engineering, you're out of your freaking mind. And that there needs to be this commitment. And so, and then once you get it to a point that you're happy with it, not perfect, remember, but happy with it, then what you do is you've got to hardwire it into the organization. So frankly, you don't have to teach every single salesperson how to prompt in AI. I've done that, but where it's automatic and it's just how we do business. And then just like you'd never let an intern run your business, you don't let AI run your business, that you need to monitor it and you need to understand, hey, is this on track, off track, and pay enough attention that you're not letting them go off for 3 months and, wrecking the car, so to speak. But just that you're like, oh, course correction. Or for example, and then I'll stop on here. When we went from ChatGPT 5.1 to 5.2, it basically ruined one of our core custom GPTs. It just doesn't react the same way. So I've got to rewrite it. But that's because I know that because I'm paying attention.
Yes.
And so AI does not allow you to take the hands off the wheel. AI allows you to be the captain of the ship versus the guy in the engine room shoveling coal.
Absolutely love it, man. And hey, that John summed it up perfectly, right?
Yeah, John, thanks.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. So, all right, hey, before we let Eric back on with his day, let's give another shout out here. So we've got the Industrial Marketing Summit. Let me scroll up to the top here, guys. So if you're not familiar with this, March 3rd through the 5th, 2026 in Austin, Texas. Here's just a little sneak preview of the incredible speakers. I think we've had almost every speaker has been on the show. We haven't had Rand Fishkin on, Damon. We got to get Rand on the show.
Yeah.
But all of our dear friends, and there's Handsome West Temple right there. Give a big shout out to Eric when he came on. Dale's been on multiple times, Jake, and all of our dear friends who are just the who's who. Wonderful dynamic speakers are going to be at the Industrial Marketing Summit. And again, just kind of summarize, Eric's going to be diving in, taking you through a step-by-step crawl, walk, run process on how using AI to take your business to the next level. Hey, and Eric, you mentioned, I'm going to share this tab real quick. You mentioned that you're also speaking at AI4. Just tell everybody real quick, what is AI4?
So AI4 it's a massive conference. It's growing to about, I think, between 8,000 and 10,000 people this year. And so they cover it. It's got both a technical track. It does have a business track. But the other thing is, this year I gave them feedback, and they're running on day 3 an SMB track specifically for how can SMBs implement AI. So it really covers all the different topics, and really, it's whether you're on a technical track or a business track, it's worth the trip. Especially if you need to understand the big picture of AI and how to be able to move forward.
Nice. Awesome. And again, guys, do yourself a favor, connect with Eric on LinkedIn. He puts out amazing, incredible content. He's absolutely crushing it. Again, served our country proudly for many years in the U.S. Air Force and just had a dynamic, incredible career. So do yourself a favor, connect with Eric. Eric, as we wind down, any parting shots, words of wisdom that you want to share with everybody?
I think it's really this is keep trying, right? And it's one of those things right now. I'm going to tell you, whether it's tariffs and whether it's everything else, life can feel a little overwhelming. Yeah. And so, and this is just my view, and also anybody feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, is we all get through all of this together and we all learn and grow together. And so matter, it's take the time, meet in person, meet at conferences, and just understand that, work is fun, but always learn, always grow, and always push the status quo.
Another moment of silence, Damon. We're savoring it, just like the barbecue in Austin that everybody's going to get to go to the Industrial Marketing Summit in March 3rd through March 5th, just to see our dear friend Eric and all the amazing other speakers. Damon, takeaways, thoughts. What do you got for us?
No, it's thank you, Eric, for sharing it today. That's all I'm going to say.
Two words. It's a huge, deep gratitude, man. Just filled with gratitude. I do have one more. I have one last question before you got 1 more minute. I know I'm keeping you.
Let's go.
Okay. Damon, you ready?
Let's do it.
You ready? Okay. Now whenever you're catching this, it's still kind of football season. But you know what? For our baseball fans, baseball is like right around the corner, man. It's the pitchers and catchers show up in about like 3-4 weeks, right?
Yes.
Right? Spring training. Eric, you baseball fan by any chance?
I watch, on an okay base. I'm not a deep fan, but go ahead.
Pirates, Phillies, who you got?
Red Sox.
You're a Red Sox guy.
I have been a Red Sox fan since 1986. And so it's one of those things that, yes, I suffered through Boddicker. I suffered through all the different years. I watched the 2004. If we have time for the story, I'll tell you it.
Yeah.
My wife, and I didn't know this until after we were married, is a Yankees fan.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Wait, and you guys stayed together?
Yeah, we knew each other in high school, but I was too much of a jerk to date. So we got married after college. But years later, ended up going. She went to Yankee Stadium in 2000, came back wearing the Yankees gear and all that. And I'm like, what is that? All right. So it's 2004. It's Game 4 of the division series. The Red Sox are down. It's the 8th inning, and Kim's like, I know where this is going. I'm going to bed. Good night. So then everything turned around that night. And so they went through and the Red Sox won, and I come to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, oh yeah, Yankees win. I'm like, nope. Then the rest of the season was magical. And so I remember that 04 season so well, watching it on television, and I still tear up when I watch Fever Pitch right at the end. So yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan. You know, if the season's too long for me, but on the other hand, I always take a look and see what's going on with the Red Sox. And that really is still my team to this day.
In your wife's name, please?
Kim.
And Kim stayed with you?
Yeah, what? Kim stayed with me? Yeah. Because, the only time I was ever obnoxious about being a Red Sox fan is we were on vacation in Mexico in 2007 when the Red Sox were in the World Series. And I made her stay in to watch Game 5.
That is an awesome story. And hey, and John says,
John, keep building the network and keep taking the grenades in the trenches. Yeah, we have to do that every day to keep things moving. That's for sure.
Poor Kim took a few grenades from Eric, then she on the Yankees. I absolutely love it. Nothing better than a little rivalry. Eric, here's my question. We're going to close out on this. You ready? Yeah. He's still standing up, Damien. You notice that he hasn't sat down once. He's still standing up. Eric, so the Red Sox are playing the dreaded Yankees. It's a bottom of the ninth. They're in Fenway. There's a guy on second base, tied score. Okay. It's like Game 7 of the championship series to get to the World Series. Okay. You with me?
Yep, I'm tracking.
The manager turns down the bench and says, hey, Eric, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up there and hit in the winning run. We got to beat these dreaded Yankees. We got to get to the World Series. You walk up, you grab your bat, you grab your helmet. As you're walking up to the plate to hit in that winning run to beat the dreaded Yankees, what's your walk-up song?
It's Jump by House of Pain.
Jump by House of Pain. Hey, that's for our Wisconsin friends. So, all right, Eric, awesome. Great answer, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric, we appreciate you. We applaud you, to you and to Kim. What an incredible journey that you are so blessed, my friend. And thank you for blessing us today. This was just a pure masterclass. Damon, what do you always like to say? If you miss any of this, what do they need to do?
If you caught into this late, you need to go back to the beginning and listen to Eric from the beginning to end, because man, there is so much gold in here. Learning his experience, learning the things that they've done in marketing, things they've done with MXD process, and just the cool stuff we learned today.
Yeah,
you don't want to miss it.
And you know what? As good as this was, he's 10 times better in person. So you guys got to be in Austin, Texas on March 3rd through March 5th and catch him at the Industrial Marketing Summit. So guys, we're going to close out. We appreciate you. We thank you. Hey, you know what, Damon, let's tell everybody, go out there, do us a favor, be an inspiration, just like our dear friend Eric, and you too will make the world a better place. How about a big round of applause for Eric for absolutely crushing it today? So guys, give everybody out there, give Eric a big round of applause. Connect with Eric on LinkedIn, catch him in Austin, Texas. Eric, hang out with us for 1 second. We'll be back here. Hey, and John says,
have a great weekend, Eric, and you guys too. Thanks, John, for the.
John, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, dude. So, guys, we'll catch it. We got another great guest coming back next Friday. I don't know if it's as good as Eric, but it's good. We'll do our best, man. He set the bar pretty high. We'll do our best. So, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
All right, everyone. Like we said, like we always say, have a great weekend, as Kurt said. But if you got in late, I'm not kidding. You need to go back and listen to Eric from the beginning. We'll be back again next week. Have fun, everyone.